This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau.
Alrighty then, nearly 6 decades later, and we're still here. The show, that is, not us. The show is much older than us. Us being Jennifer Parson and Ray DeLessio.
Welcome. Glad to have you along for the next 30 minutes. Sit tight, because we have a lot of good stuff for you today. Straight ahead on the show, it's a question on the minds of many. Are Georgia's farmlands disappearing forever? The surprising trends and what's being done to save them. Another threat to Georgia's farmlands, fall armyworms. How this pest is wreaking havoc and what farmers can do to fight back.
And then later, she's a young mayor with big dreams and a relentless drive to transform her small agricultural town. How this 21-year-old trailblazer is balancing school, a part-time job, making a difference in local politics, all while eyeing a future in the governor's mansion. These stories and so much more right now on the Farm Monitor. Well, you know, it's never too early to talk pecans here in Georgia, especially since we rank #1 in the country in pecan production. And with harvest season just a few months away, we wanted to get an update on this year's crops. So we hit the road and traveled to both Dougherty and Lee County, where the rich soil and favorable climate create ideal conditions for pecan farming. Once there, we visited with Keith Cromartie, proud owner of Cromartie Pecans in Leesburg. Keith welcomed us into his orchard, eager to share some exciting news about this year's crop, saying on a scale of 1 to 10, he's giving it an 8.
Overall, Georgia has a big crop. We've had a good amount of rain. Rain's a blessing and a curse for a pecan grower. Yes, we can turn the irrigation off, and the tree certainly needs the water, but then we are applying more fungicides, so it's costing a little bit more to grow these pecans because you get into a lot of rain, you're spraying more. So blessing and a curse. Yeah. But overall, everything looks pretty good, and I think most of your Georgia growers would say the same thing. Summer's pretty tough. We start going pretty hard. You know, we plant trees in the wintertime, and then March we're spreading fertilizer and putting down herbicide, and then once the trees bud out, we start spraying, you know, micronutrients and fungicides, insecticides, whatever. And it never really lets up until mid-September. So, and if on a wet year, you're applying fungicides every 2 weeks. So and the sprayer only goes, you know, 1.8, 2 miles per hour. So we're creeping through the orchard. So it makes for a long summer.
So there you have it, a promising outlook for this year's pecan crop. Of course, we'll keep you updated as the season progresses.
While there might be a number of issues facing the agricultural industry today, perhaps none are bigger for its future than the rapidly disappearing farmland. In fact, over just a 5-year span, the number of farming operations in the U.S. has fallen by more than 7%. Damon Jones tells you what action the Georgia legislature has taken and how it can help preserve rural America.
In an age of constant change, traditional industries like agriculture are always at risk of being left behind. And that was never more evident than in the latest ag census conducted by USDA, which shows more than 20 million acres of U.S. farmland being lost to development since 2017. It's a trend that is not so recent here in Georgia, as the state has really been feeling the effects for decades.
And since 1974, we have lost 2.4 million acres of farmland to developments, and that's row crop land. That's not counting forestry land, to developments and warehouses. So if you take that number and do another 30 years, you're talking about another 2.4 million acres. And of course, very, very fortunate. Georgia is growing so fast and providing so many opportunities for people, but we also got to be cognizant that we got to be able to feed our people too, and feed the world.
It's a delicate balancing act that the Georgia legislature is hoping to navigate with the newly formed Senate Study Committee on the Preservation of Georgia Farmlands, chaired by Senator Hickman. Him, along with 6 other state senators, will hold meetings across the state in order to find the best solution in bridging this gap.
We met last summer with 35 farmers in our community, and we heard their concerns about farmland. We got farmland in our community that's renting for $100 an acre but it's selling for $25,000 an acre for development or warehouse and all. So we decided that with the Hyundai plant coming, that we're very much supportive of it, but we got to have a balance between economic development and farmland.
The goal is not just gathering facts, but also bringing awareness to the problem, and in doing so, getting the attention of lawmakers in Atlanta in order to make some real change.
I just finished my 4th year in the Senate, and what I've learned in a very short period of time is that we can talk about all these things, and we can stand on the outside and sit on the curbs and talk about it, but until the legislature buys in on something, that's when things really get happening. And so, we've had in the last, I guess every year I've been in the Senate 4 years, we've had different very good significant farm bills, and this study committee is another thing that we'll probably have 2 or 3 bills that will come out of this study committee.
And that would be good news not just for the state's #1 industry and the tens of thousands of farmers that keep it running, but also future generations that hope to follow in their footsteps.
What I have learned through this whole process is the biggest detriment to our farmland, preservation of our farmland, is uncontrolled growth. I'm from a small community, Statesboro, Georgia, and I've always said that I want our children to have an opportunity to live in Statesboro and Bullock County if they choose to. I want it to be a situation where they don't have to move somewhere else to make a living. So it really is a twofold situation, trying to maintain a balance between economic development and also maintain a balance between farmland.
Reporting from Statesboro, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Here in Georgia, forage producers are certainly having a tough go-around as the weather has created tough issues for them this season.
However, as our John Holcomb reports, producers are now having to deal with yet another problem, a tiny but destructive pest known as the fall armyworm.
Summertime is usually a productive time for forage producers here in Georgia. However, Mother Nature had other plans, as it's been nothing short of a headache, as at first there was too much rain, then not enough, mixed with scorching temperatures. According to Lisa Baxter, State Forage Extension Specialist, though things have seemed to turn around lately, the effects from this year are far from over.
I think the last time we had spoken in the spring, we were almost dealing with the opposite of now, where we were in too wet of conditions. We've pivoted since then. Don't let the green grass behind me fool you. We've had some periods of pretty extreme drought throughout parts of Georgia. So the worst graphic that I saw, certainly 60 to 70% of our state was in some level of a D1 to D2 drought. The problem really was when that drought hit, because that was June to early July for a lot of us. We're not feeling those effects as much now as what I anticipate we will 6 months from now, when everyone's starting to feed hay and there just isn't going to be as much hay to feed.
To make matters worse, the dry weather ended up giving fall armyworms a chance to become established, to which now they have been found in more than 70% of the state's counties.
Sitting here today at the time of recording, we are actually at 70% of Georgia counties reporting damage from the fall armyworm. We have isolated reports every summer, but every 5 to 6 years we hit this point of very widespread damage. We do tend to see these more widespread outbreaks in periods of drought, and we certainly had all of those kind of cards fall into place for us this summer. It's very disheartening for a lot of producers, but the better you take care of your grass, the more they prefer that material.
Baxter says what makes fall armyworms so challenging compared to other pests is how destructive they can truly be.
The challenge with the fall armyworm compared to a lot of other pests that we have is they are entirely destructive, not just a portion of the plant. So if you're lucky, you just see a little bit of chewing on the leaf, pretty typical what we'd see out in a hayfield normally. But in these big widespread instances of damage, that's where we start getting into total field loss if we're not careful and being proactive with our insecticides.
According to Baxter, the most important thing that can be done right now is being proactive and thinking ahead, as she believes resources may be hard to come by later in the year.
So if we're sitting here today with a lot of uncertainty, we need to start thinking about culling sooner rather than later, buying hay certainly sooner rather than later, getting it tested, making sure we're supplementing properly. And again, making those decisions now, not in December or January when we're really going to start feeling all of these confounding effects.
Baxter recommends contacting your local extension office if you need assistance with managing fall armyworms or any other forage pest. Reporting in Tifton for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
After the break, you're going to meet the youngest female mayor in the country, and she's from right here in Arabi, Georgia. The story of Brooke Huckabee and how she's not just leading her town, but also inspiring the next generation of political leaders.
This is the Wellness Garden at Cobb County Farm Bureau, and it's a cooperative venture from the Cobb County Farm Bureau, the Cobb County Water and Soil Conservation District, and Master Gardener Volunteers of Cobb County, and Wellstar Health Systems. And we started this because we worked with Wellstar Health Systems, and we're considering what we can do with them to cooperate with, and the Cobb County Farm Bureau had this property available. And they came to us at Master Gardeners and said, what about putting a farm here where we can grow food? So we grow food to give away at food pantries. We want to help with food insecurity in the South Cobb area. And so we grow food and deliver that to food pantries. We're a new project, so a lot of this is experiment to see what's going to grow best for us, what's going to give us the biggest yield. So we grow tomatoes, regular tomatoes, and cherry tomatoes. We grow okra. We've had arugula. We've had lettuce. We have squash. We have beans. We have peppers, both hot and sweet. And right now we're in the process of turning the garden around to go towards more fall and winter vegetables. We are in a very urban area, and part of what we're doing with the garden is we want it to show different ways of growing in half whiskey barrels, or growing in pots, or growing in the brown things you can get from Soil 3. They're just bags that you can put stuff in and grow. So we want to show different ways that you can, even if you don't have a lot of property, how you can grow vegetables and still have fresh vegetables in your diet. We try and educate the community and help the community as Master Gardeners. And so this was one thing we felt, because Wellstar does a huge survey of the area that they serve and where the needs are. And they came out with a huge thing that this area needs fresh produce. It's very much a food desert in a lot of the areas here, and fresh produce is very much at a limit to do. So that was something we felt fit with our mission as Master Gardeners also.
So, be honest. What were you doing when you were 21? Trying to find yourself maybe, hanging out with friends, enjoying college life to the extreme? Me? I'll never tell. Brooke Huckabee, on the other hand, she's running the town of Arabi, Georgia, and already thinking ahead to the 2040 election. At 21 years old, Brooke is the youngest female mayor in the country. And the way she sees it, her rural upbringing, love for agriculture, and desire to make a difference at a young age and think outside the box makes her the right person for the job.
I just don't understand how you expect things to be here without staying here and putting in the work and the effort to try to change it. And that's something that kind of inspired me, is okay, if I'm going to complain, I'm willing to put some effort in myself and try to be part of that change.
The first thing you notice about Brooke Huckabee is her unmistakable South Georgia accent. A charming reminder that she is as Southern as they come. But behind that warm, familiar drawl is a trailblazer making her mark in the political world.
There's an old saying that if you're relatable, you're electable.
That's very true.
Is that what enabled you to become mayor of Arabi, is that people can relate to you?
I believe so. Not only that people can relate to me, but in a sense I can relate to the people. I haven't gone out and farmed myself, but I have grown up in this community and seen how, farming and agriculture can really impact everybody's lives, and it's something I think we should keep, important to us.
Tell me a little bit about Araby. No offense taken. Please, no offense. If you blink, you may miss it.
You're not wrong at all.
So for the people who aren't familiar with Araby, tell us a little bit about this gorgeous agricultural community.
Well, you know, Araby was actually, it was formed before Cordele was. So Araby was here, and I mean, it's pretty much been the same size since the town, you know, began. It's just really agricultural based. I mean, we have essentially no other industry here besides agriculture. I mean, we've got chemical companies, you know, cotton gin, peanut mill, and that's great for me. Even though the size is a little bit smaller, you wouldn't believe how much still goes on. I don't know if I could handle any bigger of a town at this time of my life.
In addition to serving as mayor of Araby, Brooke is also a student at ABAC, pursuing a degree in agricultural technology. She also works part-time with the Georgia Department of Agriculture, juggling her responsibilities with a determination that's just as impressive as it is inspiring.
She's got what it takes. She's very bright. She's very energetic. She's very eager, and has a lot of great ideas. And I think you know, serving as mayor for her hometown is awesome. And I got started young as well, so I kind of know how it is getting started at an early age in the political process. But it's always great to have folks like her that are willing to step up to the plate, and it's good to have her as part of our team at the Department of Agriculture. So we're proud to have her on our team as well.
He's great. Every time he comes in the office, he'll ask me, yeah, how's Araby doing? How's everything going in the city? And, you know, just him and all of my other bosses, like at GDA, really taking an interest in not only, you know, my personal life, but my political career as well. And they're just really supportive, and I appreciate them all so much.
As far as Brooke's inspiration, well, it's all about getting more young people interested in politics. Even though some folks doubted her because of her age, Brooke's proven she can handle the job just fine. She's had a great mentor in her dad, Craig Huckabee, the former mayor of Araby. Since she took office in January, his experience and wisdom have been a huge help as Brooke tackles the daily tasks of leadership.
When I go out to other people, I'm not going out and doing it with any ulterior motive other than getting to know the person and just really learning from them, because I firmly believe, you know, I'm one of those people, you learn something new every day, and you do, but you only learn those things by actually listening to the people that you talk to. And I feel like it's called interpersonal communication, but I feel like there's such a severe lack of it nowadays. You know, you just talk to people to talk to them, it's in one ear and out the other. And I feel like that's another issue, and that's something that I would like people to know. You know, I'm not about that. Like, I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to listen to you.
Yes, Brooke's journey is just beginning. Her early start in politics has many wondering what heights will she reach next. One thing is certain, her ambitions won't stop at the mayor's office in Araby, Georgia. With her determination and passion, Brooke Huckabee is set to pave the way for a new generation of leaders.
Brooke is a perfect example of that background, that understanding, coming from rural Georgia, growing up in a small town, and being willing to step up and be part of that process and help find solutions to help us address the issues that we're being faced with today, but at the same time provide solutions that will benefit rural Georgia, our rural communities, and our agricultural sector as well.
I would like my next step to be probably a county position, something to get me, you know, in the political scene, but with a larger, you know, population being involved. And, you know, eventually I'd like to be governor. That's the end goal with all this. And I've told everybody, I feel like I can still balance everything else in my life if I keep it at the state level. But I think that's going to be it for me.
Governor Huckabee rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? We shall see. Up next, we're going to visit a third-generation farm in Newnan that's become a one-stop shop for pasture-raised beef, locally grown fruits and vegetables, and even raw milk. How Country Gardens Farm has evolved and the unique classes they offer to connect you with your food. Keep it here.
Every year, American Farm Bureau puts on a national convention. Sometimes it's somewhere in the south where it's warm, and sometimes we'll go up north where it's a little cold. But this year, we're in San Antonio, Texas. And the theme of this convention is just like what farmers and ranchers and our volunteers all across America do. It's step up and drive forward. We're going to put American agriculture on showcase, the new technologies, let them listen to experts, and let them hear the process that we go through to build our policy that calls our farmers and ranchers out to advocate for what we need in our rural communities and on the farm. So we invite you all, get ready to come to San Antonio, Texas, to enjoy the convention, the fellowship, and learn something about agriculture. If you've never been, you need to come, because I promise you, you will enjoy it. We'll see you in San Antonio.
Finally this week, providing the community with locally grown meat, produce, and dairy products, as well as a number of educational classes.
What Jennifer is referring to is Country Gardens Farm in Newnan and how they're doing their part in spreading the word of agriculture to a rapidly growing metro population. Damon Jones takes a look at this unique operation and tells you why it's become a staple in Coweta County.
If it's pasture-raised beef and pork, locally grown fruits and vegetables, or even raw milk you're looking for, Country Gardens Farm has what you need. However, this third-generation farm in Newnan hasn't always been such a one-stop shop.
I've been growing something all my life. My grandfather, this is his original farm. Father, farmed here, and then, but I'm the only one that's kind of taken it to the level of, selling retail. But for about 30 years, we had a retail nursery, garden center, and sold to ornamental plants that we sold to the public. And this just kind of transitioned into food.
And that is an understatement, as customers get the chance to browse a wide selection of products grown right here on the farm or surrounding areas, which guarantees the highest quality and freshness.
So we offer our customer a small farmer's market here on the weekends, so they can get meat, milk, eggs, cheese, vegetables, and kind of a one-stop little farm stand. They're our own little farmer's market. So I'm trying to do what my customers want. So they're always after local produced fruit, vegetables, meats, and they're looking for things that they can know where their food's coming from.
What sets this operation apart from the rest are the multiple classes it offers throughout the month, with the goal of making it both fun and relatable.
We've got the one area that we call the teaching gardens, and that's something that they can envision in their, in their backyard. It's not like a huge, 100-foot bed, but little small gardens that they can envision doing this in their backyard. And we've seen a lot of people that have never gardened before in the last few years, and they're really excited. They're, and we like to see them have a good experience with it.
With a number of topics such as canning and fermentation to go along with the gardening, the Cunninghams are hoping to bridge the generational gap when it comes to agriculture.
It's been kind of a disconnect over the years, and they may have remembered their grandparents cooking and canning. And they're thinking back to that, and they say, well, it's something that I really want to learn. And we've got a big population here close by now, and they just it's just a lot of excitement about it.
This 150-acre farm always stays busy as it grows a year-round selection of vegetables and plants. However, it's a time and labor commitment they wouldn't have any other way.
When we're planting seed and we're seeing things germinate and come up out of the ground, or we're in the greenhouse back here in the wintertime, we're starting our peppers and tomato plants and things. I think it's just something that's wired in me to appreciate things that are growing and seeing things mature.
Reporting from Haralson County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Damon, thanks so much, and thank you for making the show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe and have a great week.